Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to episode 9 of the League Two Hour. And we are set to sit back and look on a weekend where the streak was ended. Seventh heaven for the Mariners. 40 goals were scored, and we have new league leaders. And this, for me, one
Great.
sweet of the weekend before we get into anything else. I had to get that in there. Fair play to Harrogate Town's admin team for getting that up shortly after full time, after they had ended my team Gillingham's unbeaten run, which consisted of 21 matches prior to Saturday afternoon. So yeah, that's that out of the way. Good evening, mate. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I was just wondering how long Harrogate had that one in the pipeline in case they did beat you.
Do you think there was like
It's
a
like-
series of clubs that had it ready just in case?
Yeah.
And then there's a load of admins who've had to keep deleting it on Saturday at 5 o'clock.
That was great, that. Absolutely brilliant.
Fair play to him. I quoted it and said, like, you've got to have a laugh about it. Like, it's frustrating. It ended a week straight after we'd set the record, but fair play to them. They came and did a job and earned their luck and ended the run, yeah. So, right, let's have a look at some comments because there are 22 people watching already, which is absolutely brilliant. Lee has said, please smash the like button, share it and comment which team got result of the weekend. Yep, Lee wants just to know who got team of the weekend, who was the best performer. Should we do that maybe, mate, without Grimsby? Because that's like
It's
pointless otherwise. It'd be like one of them betting markets without the odds on favourites. So aside from Grimsby Town.
Although credit, I know the scoreline, but Cheltenham did go down to, I think they lost 2 men, did they?
Yeah, one just either side of half time. Yeah. That was an absolute training exercise for about 40 minutes. But Grimsby took full advantage, didn't they? To the tune of 7-1. Funnily enough, that might be one of our feature games. Right, let's do some comments, mate, quickly. We've got Ryan Jones in the chat. Evening, Ryan. He says, evening, guys. Love the channel and up the Saddlers. I thought there might be a few Walsall fans joining us tonight. Can't think why, buddy.
Is that a picture of me again?
Oh, we're not starting that already, are we?
Isn't it?
Christ alive, here we go. Yes, it is. And swiftly moving on.
I love this.
Freya Loves Frog says, hi, evening to Freya. Welcome to the chat. Dennis Millam says, good evening, Matt and Lee. Hello, Dennis. Nice to meet you in person on Saturday at the Gills game. Dom the Oldham fan is back. Evening, gents. Hope you're well. Yeah, very good. Thank you, buddy. Love this. Neil the Bradford fan. Evening, gents. Don't know whether he's supporting League Two content or just coming in to gloat again that his team are out off of League One. Either way, we're shallow enough to not care. Gary Marsco says, evening, boys, fair play to the Harrogate admin. Absolutely. Got to have a bit of a laugh, haven't you, and have some humour with it. Neil says, Harrogate are such an annoying team to the top teams for a few years. They're our bogey team. Yeah, they've done us over twice now in 2 consecutive seasons, I think, or might even be 3 out of 4 since we got relegated. They beat us at our place. Another Bradford fan, Sid Longley, is back in the chat. Evening, Sid. Good evening from the League One leaders.
I like that.
Any problems with stewards this week, says Aaron, the Grimsby fan. No problems with stewards, mate. Just couldn't score a goal this week, unfortunately. Neil says evening to Sid. Freya says, hopefully Gareth Ainsworth's surgery goes well. Yes, yeah, just quickly touching on that. I'm sure everybody's seen. He's going in for a minor heart procedure, so won't be on the touchline for 3 to 4 weeks. So fingers crossed for a full and swift recovery to Gareth. But of course, sometimes football has to take a backseat to other priorities, and this is certainly a case for that. Cliff says, evening all, up the Gills. Evening, Cliff. Good to see you in the chat again, my friend. And Nick Castleton, loving the show, even while still repairing my ceiling from the roof. Oh, God, that's still going on. And we didn't win at the weekend, mate. It's a double whammy for you. Right. Feature games. First one's fairly obvious. Grimsby Town, 7. It's one of them where you have to put the actual word in writing on the old video printer, don't you? Yeah, Grimsby Town 7, Cheltenham Town 1. There were 2 red cards in this one for, I think it was Harry Pell just before half-time and Lee Angle just after half-time. One of them weird games where Cheltenham actually took the lead, though. Isaac Hutchinson put the Robins in front, tapping home from a yard out after Ethan Archer's cross from the left had somehow avoided everybody, bounced about 300 times, it felt like, watching the highlights. Hutchinson was on hand to tap that one in for his second goal since arriving on loan. But that, is fair to say, is as good as it got for the visiting side, who did nothing to dispel what Michael Flynn said a week earlier when he'd been sacked by the football club about this being the worst group of footballers he'd ever been in charge of. Jamie Walker decided to start up his own goal of the season competition. First one, I think, was still going up when it hit the net from about 30 yards, an absolute howitzer from the right boot of Jamie Walker. And then 5 minutes later, he was bored, so he did something else and equally outrageous and curled one in from the edge of the box, might have grazed the far post. And at that point, Cheltenham imploded. Harry Pell, who loves a red card, second yellow card for a lunge. Lee Angle, straight after half time, already booked, swings an elbow, down to 9 men. And after that, it was essentially shooting practice. Jay's Cabia fired home from the edge of the box. Jayden Sweeney got one in off the post from 6 yards after more poor defending. Charles Vernon wasn't going to be missed out of the action, scored a good goal to make it 5. Sweeney, the left back, I think decided to just neglect all kind of defensive duties and added his second and his side 6th, and then Evan Curry crashed into the roof of the net. I've written down, Lee, and I've already mentioned, hardly dispelled what Michael Flynn said about this group of players. I can't remember a team in a long while, and I'm even talking about basket case clubs that have been in this division, like that have had money problems over the last few years, as poor or as ill-disciplined as Cheltenham Town at the moment. They are an absolute car crash.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think we said last week that the next appointment's got to be the right one, because it's just going to be a long, hard season for them fans. It's a long old slog as it is, and yeah, losing in that way and players getting sent off, yeah, it just doesn't spell very good. Like I say, it's got to be the right appointment now from Cheltenham. It's just, yeah, it needs a response, whoever it's going to be as well.
Meant to be Steve Cotterill, I think. I believe he's in advanced talks to come back to the football club. Obviously, something of a club legend, but it's a very different Cheltenham to when he left a few years ago, isn't it? Unfortunately for him and for the football club itself.
You see it as a risky one?
I see anybody going in there as a risk at the moment. Like Michael Flynn said, we've said all season the squad don't look great.
No.
Too many at the wrong side of 30. And yeah, I mean, we'll look at the table later, but the numbers, just everything's going the wrong way. Not enough goals scored. They concede soft goals. They concede too many goals. You just think, how hard is it for a group of players whose confidence was already on the floor to then get an absolute lambasting in the press by their ex-manager? You'd think there'd have been some sort of reaction, and instead they've gone right the other way to like the most extreme level as well. Like, if they got beat 3-0, fair enough. You say, all right, Grimsby are a good side, but 7-1 and 2 red cards there's something seems fundamentally wrong within the football club in terms of everything, like discipline, doing the right things during the week on a Saturday. Certainly, I'm not a Cheltenham fan. It would be great if we could get someone on who was and could give us a better idea. But yeah, I think regardless of who goes in, they're banging trouble. Yeah,
and we've said this as well. Top down. If it's not set up right, it's going to have effect on the pitch, and you can tell something's not clicking at that football club, top to bottom. And like I say, it needs a response. I think it's going to be key when he does get appointed, that it's going to see how the mentality of these players and see if they do get a response. If you don't get a response, I dread to think what sort of results these 7-1s could be a regular occurrence. He's got to hit the ground
We've got
running
them in 2 weeks, so I'm hoping they get the manager in this week. So any sort of new manager bounce might be this Saturday and not the Saturday after. But I don't know. I wouldn't even be confident as a Cheltenham fan in thinking that you're going to get new manager bounce if it is a thing, because, like, for all the reasons we've said, they got absolutely caned in public by their ex-manager, and then they go and turn that in. Is deeply worrying if you're a fan of Cheltenham Town at the moment.
Yeah, and like you said, you'd have expected some sort of responses in to say, we'll show you. but they've just basically proved him right, haven't they?
Oh, absolutely, and some as well. Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, Penny for his thoughts would be interesting, but I'm sure he doesn't want the team to not play well and to get beat. But yeah, it proved everything that he'd said, didn't it? Right,
Yeah.
we've got over 30 in the chat already watching, which is absolutely brilliant. So we're at 33. So keep pressing that like button. And if you can, all share the post on our brand new X page that has been set up today. That'd be absolutely superb, and encourage others to follow. That'd be greatly appreciated. Let's go back to the comments and then we'll get to your first feature game, my friend. We got Sid says, "Evening, Neil, getting dizzy up there." That's in response to fella Bantam. And Neil says, "Nice to have vertigo. Enjoy it, boys. Great to see." Liam Welby, the Gills fan, says, "Hello, Matt and Lee. How are you, legends?" We're all right, thank you, mate. I'm not too comfortable about being called.
Yeah.
We'll take it. Like I said, we're shallow enough to not care.
Definitely
Neil
not.
says, "Ex-Bradford player Jamie Walker with 2 absolute worldies." Yes, certainly weren't tap-ins, were they? Dennis was shocked watching the goals coming in on Saturday. Yeah, I think I heard it, the Grimsby score, as we walked out. I was like, have I heard that correct? Yeah, another comment about that game. Aaron says, "I felt sorry for Cheltenham fans that travelled. They were celebrating our goals when it got to 4." Yeah, it's never nice, is it? And as much as you enjoy it as a fan of the team that's scoring them, there is always that sort of caveat, and you think, Christ, yeah, it wouldn't want to be us that's on the end of it. So you do feel sorry for the away fans a little bit.
I mean, to be fair, credit to them. Watching the highlights, they look like they stuck to the end. At what point you'd have walked out. I'm one of them fans that always stay no matter what. I know a lot of fans do go, but yeah, credit to them Cheltenham fans, because a lot did stay till to pretty much the end.
Yeah, I've sat there and watched us lose 7-2 at home to Oxford a few years ago when we got relegated out of League One, and it's like that Carcass situation, that you don't want to watch it because you know what's coming and it's not nice, but you can't help but just be fixated on it. And it's, yeah, and I've said for ages that's the worst home performance I've seen from Gills in a long, long time.
Yeah.
Gary, talking about that game, says, "What chance does the manager having 2 players get themselves sent off through pure stupidity? Feel sorry for whoever's up next year." We've already said they've got a massive job. Whoever it is that comes in, it does look like it's going to be Steve Cotterill, former club legend. Neil says, "Flynn is a good manager and did a decent job at Swindon before going Cheltenham, but couldn't get a tune out of the play." I disagree with that, Neil. I don't disagree with you a lot. I think we spoke about him a few weeks ago, didn't we, Lee, and said that since Newport, I think he's really struggled. I didn't think he did a good job at Swindon. I didn't think he did a good job at Walsall. And obviously there's extenuating circumstances with the Cheltenham job, but that's not a free managerial roles on the bounce, where his reputation's taken an absolute hiding.
Yeah, it's one of them now. Where do you see him going back in? Do you see him dropping down into the National League? Maybe.
Could we be in a world where potentially we see him going back to Newport?
Yeah, good shout. Struggling themselves. Yeah, could see it, but do you go back? I know he's had that good spell, but I think you have to look at what he's done since. Newport and Sens. How long does he have now himself? They're going to be at a point where they need to get an appointment right. Risky one, innit?
Absolutely, and that brings us nicely onto your first feature game of the week. It's like we know what we're doing. Your first one is Chesterfield 4, Newport County 1. Goals from Will Grigg, Will Dixon, Ronan Darcy and Dylan Marcandy for the Spyrites, and just 1 from Michael Spellman for the Amber Army in response. Talk us through this one, my mate.
Yep, comprehensive win for the Spyrites. Chesterfield goals. The first one, Grigg, header. Tidy little header. It's what he does. And then Collar freed him to take his opportunity. I think he's just needs to be closed down a little bit quicker. He gets into the area and gets his shot off, and it just slots home. I think it's poor defending. But credit to Collar, he tucks it away neatly. Dixon. And then Newport sort of fight back. It's a weird one because I had these in my last man standing Chesterfield, so at 2-1 I got a little bit nervous. But yeah, Newport got one back through Spellman, and then Chesterfield seemed to click into gear and obviously seal the deal. And Darcy and Mark Andy capping a good afternoon for Chesterfield. Spyrights back to winning ways, now sitting in 6th. And Newport's poor season continues. I think their last win was the 9th of August. Yeah, it's pretty much like Cheltenham, a poor run themselves.
Last win and their only win, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, only win. Yeah.
Yeah. And then again, for the other reasons, the opposite of like Cheltenham, where they've got an experienced manager whose managerial career seems to be on the wane. They've taken the chance with an inexperienced one that's come out of Man United academy, and it can work. I mean, Kieran McKenna's a huge example of that. I think Nathan Wood was at Salford a few years ago, did an all right job, nearly got them in the playoffs, or got them in the playoffs, not promoted. But this one, and again, the circumstances, budget, infrastructure, size of the club, they just look really flimsy for me, Newport. And I watched them against us, and they were really good for 15 minutes. But it seems to me that it's almost like London bus syndrome. You score one against them, and then 2 or 3 come along quite quickly. Zarneb, I think, has got to have question marks over him for the last one. Again, it goes through him. And like you said, for the second one, Will Dixon just runs and runs and runs and runs a bit more, and they just all back off and just part and just go, right, go on then, shoot. And, well, he does, and you're 2-0 down all of a sudden.
Yeah, as a manager, you'd be tearing your hair out at that, because you can't allow, it doesn't matter which player it is, whether you're top level or he's playing at the lowest level, you've just got to press and close the man down. Where he picks it up, and he can just tell his way he's thinking. He's like he's going to get closed down, and then he's in that point where he's in the area, and he's just thought, I'll take my chance and slot it home. It's really poor defending. I think Newport, for me, I think were the ones where start of the season you sort of had them in that area where they're going to struggle this season. I don't know about you, where you had them in your predictions. You had them bottom.
I think so.
Yeah.
I had them and Accrington to go down. I can't remember which order. Let me.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. I think you did have Newport.
Yeah, Newport and Accrington 24th and 20th, and Cheltenham just above them, ironically. But I think Cheltenham probably go into one of them places if this continues.
100%, yeah. I think as a Cheltenham fan, I'd probably be a little bit more worried.
Absolutely, yeah. You can't sit and watch that and be anything but concerned of how the season's going. Neil's come up with an interesting shout. Says he wouldn't be surprised to see a Derek Adams pop up at Cheltenham. Yeah, done a really good job at Morecambe, and then obviously got replaced after the takeover. So we'll be looking to get back in. Ryan says Isaac Hutchinson wasted in that team, a real talent at Walsall. Yeah, I thought he was superb when he was at Walsall. Ryan, I have to agree. One of the best attacking midfielders in the division. I think it was a couple of seasons ago he got the Holy Grail, didn't he, of 10 goals and 10 assists. Didn't work out at Bristol Rovers for one reason or another, but he's certainly better than playing for a team that's rock bottom in the Football League. Aaron's also said Paul Hurst would be a good shout at Cheltenham. Think he would make them more solid. It's whether managers want to take that job, isn't it, at the moment? I mean, we spoke a few weeks ago about the Notts County situation, but they've picked up. But there's a case to say that this is probably a worse job to walk into, isn't it?
Yeah. I know managers are obviously desperate to get back in, but you've got to think of your reputation. You one bad job for probably sometimes not getting another job. There's a lot of young managers that's getting their opportunities now as well. So it is a risky one, yeah.
Time will ultimately tell. Quick one from Freya says she's got to go, so bye up the Gills. So, yeah, she's had to leave the chat. See you later, Freya. Dom says Cheltenham were very poor when we played them. They were lucky it was only 3. Yeah, that was the game that sealed Flynn's fate, wasn't it? And then, yeah, any team that plays them at the moment, you're probably thinking fill your boots. Like certainly this week before any type of managerial change, if it doesn't come.
Who's the fixture?
Let's have a look. They this week are playing Fleetwood at home, and Fleetwood are just coming off the back of a good win this weekend. So yeah, I don't want to keep sounding like I'm just kicking them while they're down, but you'd fancy anyone. Well, you'd fancy 90% of the teams in this division against Cheltenham at the moment, maybe aside from people like Newport County, just on the way they're playing, or Shrewsbury, because they just look so far off it in every single facet of the way they play.
Yeah, and Fleetwood will be rubbing their hands. Obviously, they're back to winning ways, and to get an opportunity to get back-to-back wins, it's ideal for them, isn't it?
Absolutely. Neil says Fleetwood are in, not Fleetwoodness, because we're talking about Newport County are in big trouble. Yep, don't disagree at all at the moment. I think a managerial change might come fairly soon if their current form continues. Last season they were saved from relegation because of Morecambe and Carlisle. Yep, there is no basket case, for want of a better word, club in the division this year, is there? Like, we know Cheltenham are waiting for a takeover and that type of thing, but you're going to get found out on performance, I think, more so than in recent years, where it's almost been like one place has been taken by a club that's got huge amount of money problems and transfer embargoes and all that type of thing. Jonathan is in the chat and says, keep liking and sharing, guys. Monday nights done right. Thank you, buddy. Welcome to the show. We will get your thoughts on MK Dons in a little while. Troy says, just like to say, wishing Gareth Ainsworth a speedy recovery whenever his operation is up the Gills. Absolutely, regardless of who you support. You don't want to see anybody going through that type of thing. Walsall Fantastic says, what are your thoughts about Chris Powell joining the Walsall coaching staff today? Out of the blue, but I saw Walsall's reputation is getting better. I hadn't seen that one, so that's a bit of breaking news. Thank you, mate.
Really good.
Well, on the England staff a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and he were at Wednesday's part of Danny Roll's coaching team, and Wednesday fans absolutely loved him, and he absolutely loved Wednesday fans. So for me, Walsall, it's a great appointment to get him in. He's got bags of experience, managerial and coaching, the highest level.
Jobs as well, hasn't he? And
yeah.
And we've spoke about Matt Sedler and a lack of experience and potentially how quickly he could come under pressure because of last season. That'll really help him as well. What a sounding board for Matt Sedler, someone with Powell's experience within the game. And then you also think forward to like a January transfer window, contacts for potential signings, maybe loans or permanents for, he plays for some good clubs higher up the pyramid, didn't he? Maybe one appearance for England as well, if I'm correct, under Sven-Göran Eriksson.
You might be right, yeah. You look at last season, someone like Powell, to have him in there could have been ideal for him. Obviously, they went on that bad run and failed to get up through the playoff final. But, yeah, if they had Powell, maybe things could have been a little different, because sometimes having that experience and just someone to bounce off, so I think Darren Byfield's in there as well.
Yeah, he's there as well, who's been around the block in terms of EFL clubs. There's another one who was at Gillingham a long time ago as well. Got a famous other half, I think, unless they've split up.
It's split up. Yeah, and I'll tell you a funny story. They both lived below my mum and dad when they were at Donny. Darren Byfield were at Donny.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, just one coming out of the lift, and obviously Jamelia was walking in. I'm like, what is happening here? But yeah, they split
Quick
up.
selfie.
Nah, she were up her own house.
No, I meant she was asking you, because you're like the best YouTuber.
Yeah, I like that. She's got a picture on her YouTube with me.
Probably. Who hasn't? Who hasn't? Aaron comes on with just a bit of a left field one, says off topic, but 3 should go. I think, we've spoken about this on social media a lot of times about it should be the same, shouldn't it? You're a big advocate, I think, aren't you, Lee, because of the fact that, like, York City's situation last season was ridiculous. 96 points, don't go up automatically, then can't play for 3 weeks because of the eliminator in the playoffs, and it ultimately cost them. It needs to change and just be the same, doesn't it? 2 go up and 1 through the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think
more so for them teams coming up. I think if you have a really good season like York did, and to not get promoted, it's heartbreaking. Yeah, it's getting them EFL clubs on board, because obviously, if there's 3 places that change from 2, it's going to be a struggle. But I think it does need to happen. I think it will eventually. It just has to, because I think that National League gap between the 2 leagues now is closing every season.
Yeah, something to keep an eye on. Like you say, it does seem a bit odd. Because I think even if you go back, like York's 96, I think you've had teams in the last few years got over 100 points and haven't gone up, haven't you? I think Notts County behind Wrexham. I think even
Yeah,
Wrexham behind Stockport the season before. It's mental.
yeah.
You can't be
Barnet,
getting that amount of points and not getting rewarded for it.
yeah, and Barnet did it the season before they actually went up as well. I don't know what they ended up, but they.
We've got someone. Someone who likes the eliminator and the playoffs, of course, would be an Oldham fan.
Yeah,
Dom, yes, I see your point, but I think the bigger picture does need to be looked at. I'm not saying you didn't outplay them, but then you'd had the benefit of a game in that 3-week intervening period, whereas York had just been sat around twiddling their thumbs. But yeah, all the while it's there, you have to just get on with it, I suppose.
yeah, I totally agree.
Right. My second feature game of the week was Accrington Stanley against Walsall, and this finished 3-1 to the Saddlers as they return to the top of the League Two table. Aidan Flint, Aaron Presley scored for the away side on 62 and 75 minutes, respectively. Charlie Caton pulled one back in the first minute of injury time, but the old man, Albert Adoma, for the second week in a row, came off the bench to score and treat us to another absolutely brilliant goal celebration. Yeah, I felt Stanley were on top in this one, mate. I don't know if you watched the highlights of this one. I looked at that, and the chances that came about in the first 45 minutes both fell to the home side. I think Miles Roberts got called into action a couple of times from, I think it was Isaac Heath and Charlie Brown. But good sides, soak up pressure, stay in football matches, and then when their chances come, they take them. And yeah, I'm not sure how Aidan Flint didn't get picked up from a corner because he's an absolute unit.
Yeah,
But yeah, somehow was able to just wander into the 6-yard box unattended and head home. Then Aaron Presley, ironically, who used to be on loan at Accrington, scored the second from about 30 centimetres, I'd say, after a cross looped up in his direction. And then Caton pulled one back with a good header at the start of injury time, but unfortunately, from their point of view, it was no more than a consolation as Adoma raced through and smartly lobbed the home goalkeeper to seal the points. And yeah, we've already touched on them, but at the moment, they look the real deal, don't they, Matt Sadler's men? There doesn't seem to be any sort of hangover from last season's collapse and playoff final defeat.
yeah, and we've just touched on the Powell appointment. I think that Aidan Flint signing, I think it's a big one because he's got promotions on his CV. He's experienced. I think that's what they needed this season to obviously, yeah, the disappointment last season, but then to recruit the likes of Flint, who has that experience and know-how and knows what it takes to get into. Obviously, it's that key period. Yeah, you can be top at this time of the season, but it's when it comes to that crunch time when you need your experienced players and the recruitment, obviously, of Flint and now Powell into the coaching staff. I think they're going to be interesting to keep an eye on. Obviously, I think Walsall fans are going to be nervous. They've been in this situation. Last season they were absolutely cruising. It's going to be interesting. That is for sure. But like I said, to get experience, it's key for any side, especially promotion experience.
Here we go. We've got a couple of Walsall fans in the chat, so they've just given us their opinions. Walsall, fantastic. Says Aidan Flint is absolutely the best signing Walsall's made in the last few seasons. He makes the difference. Defensive side, we look more solid already than last season. No coincidence. And Ryan, another Saddlers fan, says Flint signing of the season, more squad depth than last year. That's answered my question. Then I was going to say, does it feel different? It's a question that's been asked about my team, Gillingham. But yeah, it's good to see that they've recovered. I can understand if there is a little bit of apprehension amongst the fan base. Certainly, if you get to the other side of Christmas and then lose a couple of games, they might start thinking, here we go again. But you can only judge it on what you're seeing in the here and now. And at the moment, they're playing well, scoring goals. They're defensively solid. Only conceded 8 all season, I think, which is probably third best defensive record. There's only them. Yeah, there's only them, Gills, Cambridge, and Oldham that have conceded less than double figures this season. So everything that Cheltenham were doing badly that we spoke of earlier in the show, they're getting right, aren't they? Scoring at one end, conceding very few at the other end. And like the boys have said, they've got more squad depth, so it gives them more hope for that. Because I spoke to a couple of Walsall fans last season, Simon, who does Walsall Fan TV, and he said that Matt Sadler's big undoing was that he kept trusting the same players even if they were tired or out of form. And then by the sort of the last 15 games, they were absolutely burnt out. And then that's no coincidence that they absolutely collapsed and their form fell off the edge of a cliff. So it'd be interesting to see if he's learnt and how much the additional squad depth does help. But early signs at the moment are really encouraging. Accrington, it's not a result that defines their season, is it? That they would have been underdogs against a good Walsall side. I think they'd won 2 on the bounce before that, so they're doing all right at the moment, Accrington, and probably slightly above where a lot of people had them in the table at the start of the season.
Yeah, and everyone, I think a majority of people predicting them to be struggling or going down. Out of the teams that's down there, you look at Shrewsbury, you look at Cheltenham. I think they're showing the fight, whereas other teams aren't. You look at the result that they got away at MK last weekend. The fight is there. So as an Accrington fan, I think you can get behind it and feel a little bit confident. There's worse sides that are getting pumped. Obviously Newport as well, we've mentioned. But there's definitely that fight in there.
And talking of worse sides, there's another one that played in your second feature game of the weekend, and that was Shrewsbury 1, MK Dons 2. First half goals from Scott Hogan and Will Collar for the Dons. One was pulled back by Chukwuemeka on 78 minutes, but it was MK who got back to winning ways. Talk us through this one.
Yeah, Shrewsbury 1, MK Dons 2. Much needed win for MK Dons. First, Hogan sliding in from a long throw from Patterson. A good flick on. And it's an easy finish for Hogan. It's what he does. And then the second comes from Collar after the keeper parries and just a little tap in. 2-0 and MK are cruising then. And then Shrewsbury grabbing one back through, like you say, an EK, but it wasn't enough. MK grabbing a huge 3 points after 4 without a win. Shrewsbury, you feel it's just going to be one of them long seasons. We've touched on 2 clubs that are similar. It's frustrating for them fans. I imagine I just can't see a way he keeps his job, and I think they need a change and a freshen up. We've mentioned these a couple of times this season already, that he's trying to play players just for sake of playing players with names and not really playing his best 11. Yeah, it must be frustrating being a Shrewsbury fan, that is for sure. But credit to MK, they got that win. Took a little bit of pressure. We mentioned it on this show last weekend. So that'll ease that for sure. So it's interesting now to see, can they maintain that and now get that back-to-back win and start climbing that table to where people have, probably majority of people have put them up there getting promoted this season.
Yeah, because you look at their squad and every position looks absolutely first class. I know they've got injuries at the moment, MK. Jonathan keeps us up to date with all that type of thing. But yeah, they've probably underperformed, I think it's fair to say. And Salop, like you said, similar problems. They've got I thought Luca Hall was a decent right back, wing back. He's playing centre half. You've then got Clucas at left wing back, which we spoke about last week. John Marquis suddenly becomes a centre forward again this week. It's just seems that he doesn't know what his best 11 is, and he's almost just trying to stumble upon a formula that hopefully works, and that's never a great way to approach things. So yeah, another team that looks lacking in quality, confidence, and a bit of direction at the moment. Yeah, I hope what you said about MK Dons is wrong. We don't want them claiming back-to-back wins this weekend, do we?
Oh yeah, I forgot his Gills at the weekend. Sorry, mate.
Jonathan
Sorry,
will like you
Jonathan.
more than
Well,
I
mate.
do at the
Hey,
moment.
I'll sit on the fence. We'll have a draw. 2-2 draw.
So I'll take 2-2 to be fair. They're still a good side, and away from home, if you pick up a point, you're doing all right.
Yeah.
Luca Talks Dons says, "Hey, I'll be at the Gills game on Saturday, mate. Yeah, big game coming up, Luca. Should be an interesting encounter, that one. You boys getting back to winning ways. But hopefully we can bounce back and take advantage of your poor home form at the moment." He asks, "Is it the perfect time to play you? Do you think the loss to Harrogate was wrong time because when you go unbeaten, luck runs out?" When you're unbeaten for 21 games, it's never nice when you do lose because you just want it to keep going as long as possible. But I don't know whether it's right time or wrong time. I think I saw enough in the performance reacting to going a goal behind that I've not seen in previous years. We bossed the game. If we'd won 2-1 or 3-1, I don't think anyone would have batted an eyelid. It just wouldn't go in on the day. We've had keepers made 2 really good saves first half. We've had 2 off the line. We'll get to one of their players a bit later, but I think I can't remember the amount of shots that were blocked was absolutely ridiculous. So I've got no concerns going to MK in terms of us not reacting correctly. We might get beat. I'm not saying we're going to win, but I don't think it's a case of there's like a mental fragility there that's been there in previous seasons. But you can only find out, and the proof will be in the pudding.
We mentioned with Gills though, didn't we, that when this defeat come, it's how now you react.
Absolutely, that's all we can do now because it's the first sort of obstacle that we've not overcome under Gareth Ainsworth. But if someone had said to me in March that he's not going to lose a football match for 6 months, I'd have gone, yeah, thanks very much. So
Yeah.
we lost 1 in 10. We're third in the league. Like, if we drew that 1 or we're top on goal difference, it's fine margins, and I think we'll be absolutely fine. I'm not sitting here saying we're going to win the league or anything like that, but I don't think you'll see a Gillingham side that goes sort of 12-13 without a win this season. Not a chance.
No.
Right, shall we do Vidi Printer before we look at goals of the weekend? Right, so we'll run through these quickly. Oh, we've got just one comment from Aaron, the Gills fan, not the Gills fan, the Grimsby fan, talking about the Gills game. He says, "I don't think Gills will collapse this season like previous seasons. I fancy you lot for top 3. I know we are going to be in the game when we play." Yeah, and we've got you, I think, in about 3 weeks, haven't we, Aaron? So that'll be another really, really good test for both sides. I think it's probably a case of polar opposites. Grimsby are free scoring. I mean, we've scored enough this season, but you wouldn't say Gillingham are a free scoring side per se. So that'd be an interesting battle.
Obviously, I think you've done every game, have you? Not Matt, home and away.
Yeah, I've not missed a game yet this season.
Out of those sides that you've seen play against Gills, who's impressed you the most?
Bromley by miles.
Yeah.
Like they're the best side, and I know they're having a little bit of a rough trot at the moment. But yeah, not in terms they've got the best players. I think we said the other week, or that they play the most free-flowing football or look the nicest. But in terms of every single player, you know what you get every single week. They all know their job. Functionality is absolutely spot on. You know, they got a little bit of class here and there, but the majority of their team's built on hard work and that type of thing. And you've got 2 goal scorers at the moment in Cheek and Kabamba, and yeah, they should have beaten us. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend we could have been out of sight. It could have been 3-0 at half time. We managed to stay in the game. We were resolute and found a way. But yeah, and you have to think we've beaten 4 of the top 12 already. We've beaten Walsall, we're top. We've beaten Chesterfield, we smacked them. We've beaten Crewe, we've beaten Notts County, and 3 of them are to 0. So I've got no issues us going to MK Dons and not being competitive or anything like that at the weekend. Whether we win the game, draw the game, or lose the game is a completely different question. But no, I think we'll be absolutely fine. 42 now watching, which is brilliant. That has just jumped up in the last 10 minutes. So if we can get to 50 tonight, that would be great. Please continue to hit that like button. And yeah, if you can find us on X, League 2 Hour, and share this about tonight and drop a follow, that would be great. Because we're trying to get the show out there on all social media platforms. Right, Mitch, just back to the Walsall appointment. Evening, Mitch. Welcome to the chat. First and foremost, says, think the Chris Powell appointment for us could be huge. Bags of experience and someone for Matt Sadler to learn off. That's literally what we just said, isn't it, mate? It's a really, really clever addition to the backroom staff. Ashley, the Gills fan, says, as a fellow Gills fan, are we allowed to talk about the P word yet? I don't know.
You're always allowed to talk about it. It's whether
We spoke about the P word last week, though, didn't we? Pie.
yeah, we did. Yeah,
Oh, you have to go back and watch that episode. No, I'm joking. Although we did have a really good chat about pies last week.
And I had a very good pie at the weekend at Mansfield. Very good.
There you go. See, pies all round.
That's it for the pie talk today.
No, I think in terms of that P word, you get into the stage of the season. If you get to the end of October, the table has real shape to it. And if you're in the top 7, the top 3, then I think you're going to be there or thereabouts. So let's just see how we react to that first defeat is all I'd say, Ashley. And if we come through that relatively unscathed at the weekend, then I think there's no reason why we can't still talk about at least attacking them top 7 places on a consistent basis over 46 football matches. Right, Vidi printer time. Crew Alexandra against Notts County. The Alex got back to winning ways with a 2-1 victory at Gresty Road. Goals from Mickey Demetriou and an injury time penalty from Josh March sealed the points for the home side. And it was Nick Cerula in first half injury time who got the Magpies level. Still got question marks over both teams to a degree here, Lee. Crew give up a lot of chances. Notts County keep missing a lot of chances.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but Crew needed that. I think we talked on them last week that they're at that point where they could go one way or could go the other. So it's going to be interesting to keep the eye on. Notts County, till I see them live, I know that the fans are still not fully behind what they're trying to do there. And yeah, it's I think Notts County is similar, like you said, to Crew. That it could go one way or the other, couldn't it?
Yeah, they're both very in and out at the moment, aren't they? There's no consistency to either side. I know Crew had that really good start, but Notts County certainly have been almost like yo-yo, haven't they? Win, draw, win, draw, lose, that type of situation. Oldham 1, Barnet 1 was the battle of the 2 promoted teams from last year's National League. It was a tale of 2 penalties. Mark Shelton for the away side and then Mickey Mellon for the hosts equalised. So, yeah, but not going to talk too much about this one, but it's fair to say that both sides are fully settled into EFL life now. They're both right in the middle of the table, look solid enough. We've already said they're not going to be in any danger. Whether they've got enough to challenge the higher places, we probably still keep saying no at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. And I think you talk to both sets of fans. I think that mid-table, I think stability this season for the first season back into League Two would probably be a relatively good season. I get that fans want that promotion again, but sometimes you just have to stabilise to then go again the next season. And like I say, it's just about finding your feet, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And they've settled really well now, haven't they? Barnet, we said at the start of the season again, like Notts County were up and down. Oldham just needed to score goals, and they've started doing that. And they've taken, 10 points from the last 12, and 3 wins and then a 1-1 draw. So yeah, both will be absolutely fine. Bristol Rovers beat Salford by the odd goal in 3. Goals from Ellis Harrison and Fabrizio Cavegna for the Gas cancelled out Matt Butcher's opener for the Ammies, who had Haji Minoga sent off in injury time. Weirdly, after his side had been awarded a penalty, which they then missed. It was saved by Luke Southwood, who became the hero for that one. Huge win for the Gas. They seem to have sorted out their problems up front from earlier in the season. No reason for Salford fans to be disheartened at all. They're, a penalty kick away from equalising and getting a really good draw on the road. So they're both, I think, be at the top end of the table. Crawley Town 1, Barrow 2. Goals from Josh Gordon and Isaac Fletcher in the first half for the Bluebirds. Crawley replied through Geraldo Bajrami on 65 minutes, but it was back-to-back wins for Andy Wing's men as they start to climb the table, and the Reds continue to go from the sublime to the ridiculous. Fleetwood 4, Colchester 2. Early goal from Kyrese Lisby put the away side in front before Ethan Ennis equalised for the Cod Army. Jack Payne got the visitors back into the lead with a penalty just before half-time. But Jordan Davis, who's looking to be a very good signing from Wrexham, he scored on 55 and 87 minutes to put his side in front, and Mark Helm sealed the points for Pete Wild's men in injury time. I want to talk about this one. I think we mentioned it briefly. Danny Crowley must be under pressure now, surely, and his brother.
Got to be, hasn't he?
They are down in 20th at the moment.
Yeah.
They've won one game of 10. And yeah, I know they draw a lot of games, but they've already lost 4, which isn't the form of a team that many people had to be at least in and around the playoff picture.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know how long they're going to have in there. I think we touched on him last week. I think one of the featured game was they, or we mentioned about him last week. I think Colchester will come into this season with high expectations to be one of them promotion hopefuls, but it's not shaping up to be that. You look at the team above them, Accrington, wildly tipped to be one of the teams that go down. So that sums up where Colchester are really. Yeah. At what point do you think that these guys have had enough time?
Just looking at their fixtures quickly. So this Saturday, they host Chesterfield. They then go to Grimsby before hosting Harrogate. And then they've got Swindon, Bromley, Walsall, Notts County. That takes them up to the back end of November before they host Cheltenham.
I think they've got 1, maybe 2 left. If that.
Yeah, I don't think it can go on much longer, which is a real shame because I thought he'd done really well there last season. He settled them down. They've been a poor side at this level for a while, and everyone thought they were going to kick on this year and have a real go at the top 7, but it's not materialised at the moment. Right, let's look at some comments from the Vidi printer results that we've done so far. Dom the Oldham fan says, very frustrating game for us. Mellon missed 2 1-on-1s. Drummond also missed a 1-on-1. Take the results on the weekend going into Notts away. That's it, mate. It's another point on the board, isn't it? It keeps the unbeaten run going. Yeah, frustrating. Can understand that. But at the same time, 10 points from the last 12 is not to be sniffed at. Lucas says, do we think Notts County are underachieving? Yeah, we've already mentioned that. 2 up and down at the moment to be a consistent threat to the top 7. Neil says, Mellon Jr. again, a real canny signing by Mellon Senior. Yep, we said that at the time, didn't we? Scored on his debut, I think, didn't he? They won 1-0. And since then, other strikers have scored. They've scored 3 against Cheltenham, albeit a poor Cheltenham side. They picked up a good point against Barnet at the weekend, a team that Barnet fans like to tell me finished 34 points ahead of them last season. So, yeah, rapidly going in the right direction, the Latics. Sid is doing Barnet v Accrington at the weekend, so we'll be able to join in next Monday's debate. El Clasico, eat your heart out. Love that. Let us know what grub you're eating as well there, buddy, because we know you like to keep us informed of all the hard-hitting subjects of the day. What else have we got?
I think he's on the Accrington fan bus for that.
Oh, is he? Oh, decent.
Yeah.
Neil says Cowley. Sorry, carry on.
That'll be his 91st ground, and then he's got 1 left.
Who's his last one?
Which I am doing with him.
Oh, is that
Tottenham?
One of them. We'll find out. Tottenham. Oh, awful brand. Make sure you get a photo of Lee, and then you can change your YouTube profile picture.
Sid can do it now. He's got one.
If he does, I'm logging out. Yeah, a couple more comments from Neil and Luca about Colchester underachieving, which we all agree on. So, right, let's get through the last of the Vidi printer games. It was Gillingham 0, Harrogate Town 1. Stephen Duke McKenna on 16 minutes. Smart finish from the edge of the box, left-footed, but Gills didn't do enough to get out and stop the shot. So that is 2 wins on the spin for the Sulphurites. And as we've already mentioned, time for Gills to regroup and react in the right way, which will determine whether they are genuinely promotion contenders or not. Swindon Town beat Bromley 2-0 thanks to a first goal for the club for Ollie Palmer and Aaron Drynan's 8th or 9th of the season. He is absolutely flying at the moment. They were quickly back to winning ways. Bromley nothing to worry about, but 4 without a win just represents a sticky patch for Andy Woodman's men at the moment, but I'm sure they'll be back on the horse sooner rather than later. And we finished up with a goalless draw between Tranmere and Cambridge United. Rovers' form has dropped off alarmingly. Cambridge, though, mate, quietly ticking along, just a couple of points off the playoffs, going under the radar a little bit.
Yeah, and I think they'll like that. I think we mentioned them a couple of shows back. They were one of them that you can sort of make a case for them, but you can also make a case for them not being in that mix. So I think they'll be happy that they're slowly ticking along nicely, and not many's talking about them, are they?
No, not at all. Like I say, just doing their business nice and quietly. Aaron says Duke McKenna is a good player. Artell, give him a call in January. Yeah, Gareth Ainsworth managed him at QPR, ironically, and it come back to bite us on the backside. But yeah, it's the run's over, and in a weird way, it probably takes a little bit of pressure off because it was all that was being talked about. So now every game is just a game and 3 points to win and that type of thing. Right. Goals of the week, mate. I'm going to go first this week.
Go on, mate. It's probably easy, this, though, isn't it?
I think the top 2 are going to be the same. They might have the same initials, the same name from the same game. But my third place was Matt Butcher from Salford City. Ball broke to him on the edge of the box and he unleashed a guided, brilliant left-footed side foot finish into the top corner from 20 yards to give his side the lead. Unfortunately for him, though, it meant absolutely nothing as they lost 2-1 in the end. But yeah, really, really good strike. The control on that finish was absolutely superb. When the tendency is to maybe lash at it or lace it, I thought that was a really good hit. And surprise, surprise, second and first are both taken up by a certain Jamie Walker of Grimsby Town. Second place was his curler from the edge of the box to put his side 3-1 up that went in off the far post. Cheltenham keeper Joe Day, I think, just looked on by as it clipped the inside of the frame and went in. And his first one was an absolute stunner. Took the ball about 35 yards out, just turned, got it out of his feet and absolutely smashed the hell out of it. I think Joe Day dived, but I really don't know why, because 5 keepers weren't stopping that. It was, like I said earlier, it was still going up when it hit the back of the net. An absolutely astonishing hit. So my goal of the week is Jamie Walker in first and second, and then, like I say, Matt Butcher with the bronze medal.
I don't even need to say out, mate.
Same 3.
Same 3, same order. First, he's a first. He's a first on this show.
It is a first and probably a last. But yeah, they were 3 absolutely brilliant goals. And there was a couple of decent finishes, if I remember rightly. I think, I know we mentioned Newport's defending, but the second one for Chesterfield, who was it? Will Dixon, good run and finish. Albert Adoma's lob to seal the points for Walsall was good. But yeah, these 3 were just miles out in front of everybody else this week.
Yeah, I was just about to say Adoma. I think to have that much time, sometimes it's not great for players, but he's took it down. Obviously, it's a loop, and he's nodded it down, but then he's took it to a point where he's sort of cut across the defender, so he can't get back in, and then to just like dink it over the keeper and that celebration, I think. Yeah, we're absolutely outstanding. But yeah, them top 3. But like I said, Jamie Walker's. I think I'd seen both the goals as I was walking back to the car, maybe after my game, and I'd already picked my top 2, so it was just a case of getting that third goal. Yeah, it just an outstanding first, and then to get that second, it was just an audacious curling effort. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely stunning strikes. And if Grimsby Town see a better goal than them 2 this season, then they're going to be treated. Mitch WFC, the Walsall fan, says best wishes to Gareth Ainsworth with his operation. Do you think it could have an impact on the pitch? Potentially, of course, because he's played a huge part. He's the manager at the end of the day, but he's confident that Richard Dobson, his assistant, and the coaching staff will be absolutely fine and can carry on without him. I know Dobbo's had a couple of caretaker spells before. I think Gareth had to have a back operation or something when he was at Wickham. So it's not something that's entirely alien to Dobbo, but of course it's probably going to have a modicum of an effect because Gareth Ainsworth's not going to be there. But fingers crossed, it's minimal. Neil knows the drill. Jamie Walker, maybe. Aaron says, I thought it was prime David Beckham. I'm not sure David Beckham's one that good. Certainly not that first one. I'd say the second one's more of a David Beckham type finish, but the way it hit the back of the net. Do you remember the Wayne Rooney volley a few years ago against Newcastle when he was having a row with a referee and then he just ran onto that volley and smashed it in front of the Newcastle supporters? That's what it reminded me of a little bit.
Yeah.
Troy says 6 points last season against MK Dons. Hopefully we can turn them over again. Up the Gills. Hopefully we'll come out fighting after a downfall. I'm sure we will, mate. I don't think there's going to be any problems in terms of the performance. I'm just fingers crossed that's enough to get a result. Looking forward to Saturday against the Gas. Think Rovers will do well this season. That's Walsall. So that'd be a tasty game. Then Walsall v Bristol Rovers. That'll be one to keep an eye on. Goal of the season contender. That first Jamie Walker goal. I think you could probably remove the word contender from that. Just goal of the season, full stop.
Yeah.
The Bagpipe Messi. That was the nickname. I was trying to find it. That was what I found out the other day. And I think it was Jack Mitchener, who co-hosts the Fourth Tier. He's nicknamed Aaron Drine and Aaron Ronaldo as well. So I thought that was a good one. Right, Lee, do you want to give us your player of the week?
Well, we've talked about him already. Jamie Walker, for his 2 stunners. Can't not pick him. Obviously, played a part in Bradford's promotion last season. I think he's a big signing for Grimsby. Like Aidan Flint knows what it's like to get promoted. I think he's going to play his role, and them 2 goals, if he scores anything like that, Grimsby fans are in for a treat. That is for sure. But yeah, I couldn't not give it him this week.
Yeah, he's had a stunning start to lot. Not stunning start, but a stunning performance there. But yeah, it seems now he's getting up to full speed, and if that's anything to go by, then yeah, they've got one hell of a player on their hands who can only improve them. Right, I will go to mine, and mine, just to be different, is someone at the other end of the pitch who actually really annoyed me at the weekend, and that was Harrogate Town centre-back Anthony O'Connor, who I thought was absolutely superb against the Gills. Annoyingly, of course, he was foot perfect as his team defended a lead from the 16th minute to see us off by a 0-0 to end our unbeaten run and also our 100% home record as well. So it was a double whammy for us Gills fans. 90 minutes played, 17 clearances. It's just absolutely ridiculous. 5 shots blocked by the same man. He won 79% of all of his duels, and he was actually fairly tidy with it as well, completing 87% of his passes. And I've written down, as annoying as it was, he was in the right place at the right time all of the time. So my player of the week goes to Harrogate Town's Anthony O'Connor. Right, mate, shall we have a look at the league table?
Yes.
Right, let me find that then.
Oh, fancy new league table
that we've stolen from the new CFAX app.
He don't mind.
Right. Oh, of course you're mates with him as well already, didn't you?
Yeah, he's
I'll get you on for a reason. Here we go. League 2 table as of Saturday afternoon at 5 p.m. sees Cheltenham Town propping up the rest with just 4 points from their opening 10 fixtures. And it's Shrewsbury who now sit inside the bottom 2 with them. Both sides have only won 1 game this season, along with the likes of Newport in 22nd and Colchester in 20th. And in between them, we've got Crawley Town on 8 points in 21st. Moving up, we've got Accrington, Tranmere, Barrow, Harrogate, Barnet, Bromley and Oldham completing the bottom half. And then if we look into the top dozen, it's Notts County in 12th with 14 points. Fleetwood move back into the top half after their win. Cambridge pick up another point on the road to sit in the top 10. MK Dons on the cusp of the playoff places now, as our Crew, after both picking up good wins at the weekend. Bristol Rovers do jump into the top 7 with their victory. And then the remaining 3 playoff places are Chesterfield, Grimsby and Salford City. And above them, the top 3 is Gillingham in 3rd on 21 points, behind Swindon on goals scored. But it is Matt Sadler's, who are top of the pile at the moment and picked up their 7th victory of the season to sit top on 22 points. What do we take from that table at the moment, my friend?
Well, it's hard to take anything, but it's early. Obviously, it says 27th of September, so it's hard to get giddy if you're any sort of fan. But what I do see a picture sort of forming is, I think it's going to be an interesting sort of promotion in that playoff. I think even top three, I don't really see anyone really running away with it. I think what will happen from, I'm gonna say from probably Fleetwood up, they're all gonna sort of change, and yeah, like I said, no one's gonna run away with it. I think it's gonna be an interesting season where a lot of teams take points from each other. I think we've already touched on a big game. Was it Walsall, Bristol Rovers?
Mm-hmm.
I think someone just commented Salford, Grimsby. So games like that, it's going to be massive. And
MK Dons, Gills as well this week.
Yeah. So three big games there, and a lot like the top. I think the bottom, the teams are already forming that. Other than Colchester, were predicted to be in that mix down there, weren't they?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like you say, anything from Harrogate. Well, no, I had Harrogate higher, but certainly Barrow down. I think I've got all them teams apart from Colchester in the bottom third of the table. And just looking at my predicted table, if you take it out Salford and swap them for MK Dons, that is actually my top 7 in a different order.
Yeah.
But a long way to go. I'm sure by the end of the season it will look completely different and I won't know what I'm talking about. Is there anybody in that bottom half that you think has the capabilities of maybe surprising a few? Because we talk about it every season. I know it's very early, but just for a bit of fun, that you think has the capabilities of going on a run and gate crashing the top 7?
I'd say obviously with Bromley. I know they've had that good spell. To be 14th is it shows the division really, because they'd have been happy with the start. I know they're on a little sticky period now.
But that's it. But still only one win out from 7th, aren't they? It's crazy.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and that's like you look at Harrogate, they're 14 points, a couple of wins that they're right in the mix. I think that's what's going to be brilliant about this division this season. I think a lot of still going to have that shout, but not really being that shout. You know what I mean? It's like you look at, I'd say probably Barnet. They're going to be fluctuating with their results. I think we've mentioned before where you'd expect them to be not beat side, but they get a result. But teams will just take points off each other. I think maybe Oldham. Yeah, I'd probably say Bromley out of them all.
Yeah, I had Bromley 8th at the start of the season, so they're probably the obvious one. But I can't get away from Oldham at the moment. Like I say, they're defensively, as Dom said here, still holding on to the best defensive record in the league. If they carry on improving that, I know they're scoring less than a goal a game at the moment, but that was beginning of the season where they was having them problems. They've picked up in the last few weeks, haven't they? And that's why they've won 3 and drawn 1 of their last 4 games.
Yeah, with Mickey Mellon, I think he's that type of manager that'll look for the long. He'll look at fixtures and say, "Oh, we'll get a point there," and we should get 3 points here, and like maybe say you play Walsall and not expecting to get a result. He'll look long term. I think that's why he's got so many promotions under his CV. So to have his experience, I mean, you've got to mention Oldham. I think what's key to them if they're going to be in that that maybe come January, they'll assess things and see if they're in with a shout. I think then they can maybe recruit. If they're not in with a shout, I think they'll just steady the ship and then get ready for next season. Yeah. Because sometimes it's pointless really recruiting heavily if you know you're going to be safe but not sort of flirting with them playoffs. It's just about steadying the ship and just seeing what players that you can make use of the next season.
Absolutely, yeah, because you'll get to the point where you want to see if there's people worth new contracts and that type of the thing, rather than just bringing in a load of loan players or that type of thing for no real reason, like you mentioned. Aaron says people thought Harrogate were going to be banging trouble this season. Yeah, I had them 12th. I was quite sweet on their transfer business. Ironically, one of them, Sean Mikulski's actually come out the side in the last couple of weeks, but he's had a solid enough start to life in the Football League. And yeah, Simon Weaver knows what he's doing. He's been manager of that football club for 17 years or something like that now. I think they'll be absolutely fine. Like Neil said earlier in the chat, they're a pain in the arse to play against sometimes, and they'll pick up points against teams that they should beat, but they'll also do things like they did at the weekend and beat teams where you probably don't expect it so much.
Yeah, and I think with Harrogate, I think they get that easy target where people can put them in getting relegated, knowing that they're not going to get much backlash from it, as weird as that sounds, because they're not a big club. Whereas some people do the predictions, and you know that they're going to get that backlash from certain fan bases. Whereas Harrogate are probably not that big a club in this league, so they're like, yeah, Harrogate are going to get relegated, but they always prove it every season that with what they've got to spend in this division, they always compete, and they're always. They always produce good players and turnover of players as well.
I think, they've lost some good players to big teams, and I think it was a lad they had up front a few years ago, Adam Armstrong, nearly went to Wrexham, went to Carlisle, it didn't work out, but he done well for them. They had the lad, can't think of his name, played off the left or right and went to Peterborough for a fee. So yeah, we know that's the nature of the beast at this level. They get your best players get poached by them further up the food chain and all that type of thing. But yeah, I think they'll be absolutely fine this season. There's plenty of worse teams than them, and that's why I think they'll be in and around mid-table. Right. Aaron, last comment from Aaron says, Matt, can you tell me the lottery numbers? That's some prediction. It's September, mate. Let's not get too excited yet. Like I say, they're not even in the right order. But yeah, I'm quietly confident we might get a few close to where I said at the start of the season, but it is a marathon, not a sprint. And on that note, we are going to blow full time on episode 9 of the League 2 Hour. Thank you for everybody who's been watching. Thank you for everybody who's been in the chat, liking, sharing, and doing all that type of thing. If you haven't pressed subscribe, please do so. And of course, I know you already are subscribed to Around the Grounds, but if you're not, please go and find him and subscribe to his channel, because it really, really is good. Yes, we'll be back next Monday for another action-packed show, I am sure. But as always, he's Lee, I'm Matt, and this has been the League 2 Hour.